Wow, that was quick. YouTube says we are live already, so welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom, number 271. I'm your host, Greg Galb. The gang's all here. We got Tony and Mike and John and Dewan and Garth and other people who are understandably not turning on their camera, and that's okay. Let's talk slot cars. I got a bunch of show and tell things, but I'll be happy to let somebody else go first. Tony's already got his hand up. Mike's looking to try to put his hand up. Go ahead and tell us what you got today, Tony. Got a new NSR? Don't forget to unmute. There you go.
These arrived today.
Oh, is that one of the new
Fly?
That's the Fly.
Yeah.
Scout Auto Evo.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Is that the one with the Scalato chassis?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've got a Ferrari from Advanced Slots.
Oh, the 296?
The 296, that's the one.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a white one, so I got that one.
Got a black one.
A black one. And also got a yellow one.
Well, there you go.
I put that down somewhere. I can't find it at the moment. So we just have to put up with these two. Well, that is me done.
Alrighty then.
I'll get off because you've got this noisy little thing happening. I can't seem to get rid of it.
Thank you.
Could you share the chassis on that Porsche? I was kind of interested.
Yeah, you want to take that off the base?
Kind of wanted to see the upgrades.
Oh, hold on, let me
Oh,
spotlight.
it's an inline. Okay. Yeah, Fly had a Sidewinder in theirs originally.
It looks a lot like the Fly racing style.
Uh-huh. Okay. But it's
Looks
adjustable.
like they took the F1 pod
Uh-huh.
and made the chassis for it that way.
Well, yeah, well, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm sure
Tony.
Apparently, they're doing a lot of this with Fly, Scout Autos. On Slot Forum, they had a BMW 202 with the Evo chassis.
I think they also have a rally.
I couldn't find it.
I think there's 4 different models that they've done.
Yeah.
4 different body styles.
Great.
Oh, that's me.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I picked up another Datsun, the Paul Newman version of the slotted one. It's typical inline. I ran it yesterday. I got the interior out of it and put my regular card interior while I'm waiting for John to get done with all the drivers I'm going to get. And it runs pretty nice. I put a little weight on the side like I did on the other one, and decided to put the stock tires back on because I had too much grip and it would keep rolling over. So give a little bit less grip and it handles nicer, and times are just about the same. The other one, the blue one that I had, the one earlier, you can see the front end, is a little more less tippy-toey. They both handle and go about the same, but this one is a little bit tougher to drive this way. So I'm going to probably add about another 4 grams of weight to it, and see how that goes, and see what goes. But I really like these things. I mean, they're just cool cars. Interestingly enough, I noticed, there was a controversy. Excuse me a minute, and I'll go get it. But there's a controversy about the sills on the Corvette.
Oh, yes.
While I was doing that, I noticed that if you look closely at this, you can see how it's painted on the bottom.
Is that the body or the chassis?
On the body.
Uh-huh.
So what he did is he used black matte paint on the bottom to keep it lower, and you can't see it at all. I mean, it's really kind of interesting. Although if you look at this one, this one's the sills are painted, and it's still not as bad as not as egregious as the Corvette.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm hoping they come out with more nice liveries with these, or I'm going to have to get the well, with the price of these, you can get the white kits for about $65, I think it is. So I might do the dirty deed and paint them myself. They never look as good when I do it, but you know, still a race car.
It meets the 5-foot requirement.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what else they're going to come out with in this class, but it'll be interesting to see. But I'd like to get, you know, at least a group of them to race, because they're fun. And they're comparable, if not a little faster than the Revo Slots. So they could conceivably, you know, compete in the same class, regardless of the differences in the chassis. So they're a little less, interestingly enough, with the weight in them, they're a little less tail happy than the Revo Slots. The Revo Slots are almost always tail happy. I don't know what the deal is, but it all the Group 2 cars are just a bit tail happy, and whatever the reason. And these are a little bit tidier in driving, and the blue one especially is really quite nice to drive. It's not a fast car. It does have the same motor as the DTMs, but it's about because of the narrowness of the body, it's about 0.2 of a second in lap time slower than the DTMs with the same motor and chassis, or motor and pod rather, not chassis. So yeah, I like them a lot. I wish they had more cars in the group, but Slotted does not come out quickly with the cars like Revo Slot does.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's both good and bad. I mean, it's because they do all the necessary steps for this one in particular with the licensing and that, which, you know, I kind of applaud. You know, it's kind of silly in some ways that companies come after people that are putting models out for licensing, because, you know, if they have a model, it's just showing their brand out. But I suppose, you know, they want control. So it is what it is. I don't know if I showed. I got another one of the F1s, the 2024 F1s with the flat 6 in it. Or I think this one is a boxer. Yeah, I think this is the boxer motor, not the flat 6. But at any rate, it's I got another one of these, so 2 more to go and I'll have a class. I'll go into it later on. I'll talk about the racing. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn then. So let's fire up the sharing. So last week I showed the CAD model for the Harbor Freight front panel gap filler tray work surface thing that I designed. This is the print. It snaps in very nicely and works very well to make it easy to get your parts out of, and, you know, put a car on there to do your work on. And there's a picture of a car on it. I literally posted it like that night, last Wednesday night or Thursday morning or something. So it's been up for a little while. But also on request of club members, I designed and there's the front panel closed. The whole point of this is that it stays there. You just close the front panel. You don't have to take it off and put it somewhere else while you're traveling. You just, boom, there it is. But I was requested to do a bottle organizer. This is the final design, where each of these holes are the same size and basically big enough for most of your typical round bottles for oil and various oils, generally speaking. you know, and tire oil and bushing oil and stuff like that. This oblong one is for CA bottles that tend to have that oblong shape. And this one here used to be round for Loctite, because a couple of the guys like to have a little bottle of Loctite. Mine are round, but one of them has an oblong one, so I had to adjust that so it takes both the round and the oblong one. The Loctite is here because it's usually a very short bottle, very small bottle, and right at this end there's a ledge inside the toolbox that takes up a bunch of space. So short bottle pretty much has to go right there. This is with some bottles. The one thing you have to be careful of is the height of your bottles. Obviously, if it's too tall, then the lid won't fully close. My Gorilla Glue bottle is just a few millimeters too tall. My Inox bottle is the perfect height, and the NSR tire oil is plenty low enough. But basically, because the lid has ribs on it, I don't think I have a picture of that. The lid has ribs on it as well, stiffening ribs. So depending on what kind of bottle you have in what slot, the needle or top of the bottle may or may not hit a rib. So basically, if you print this out, you're going to want to shuffle bottles until you can shut the lid all the way after you've made sure they're not too tall. But there you go, and you can see the little ledge inside that takes up space. That's why the Loctite goes there pretty much all the time. And then I also finally got the rail kit from Slotted Polycar for the 3D printed track pieces. I posted pictures of this on Slot Forum last night, but basically what you see here is enough spring and rail ends to do 2 track pieces. There's more spring than needed to do 1 track piece, but there's only enough end pieces to do 1 track piece. There's basically 4 female, 4 male end pieces. And this is basically, it's just 1 long piece of spring. It's an extension spring, so it's already tightly, coiled and packed and smooth. It's not a bunch of separated coils like a compression spring. And then you basically figure out how long you want to make it and then cut it to length. So what I do is I basically lay the spring in the slot to the point where I want it to be in one end, and then I mark and cut the other end where I want it to be. And that's a close-up. Basically, you can have the spring go all the way up to, well, for sure that second notch, because the pin from the male end goes into here a little ways. I decided to conserve spring unnecessarily and only have them going into this first area. You do not crimp the end onto the spring. What you basically do is, it's kind of hard to see. Maybe I can zoom in here. So you can kind of see it right here. In certain areas along the path of the rail where the spring goes, there are these little tabs that kind of go into where the rail is, where the spring is, in order to hold it in place. So you can't just lay it on and lay it down. You don't have to glue it or anything, but you have to slide the spring in from one end and make it go under the little tabs that help hold the spring in place. So basically what I do is I get the spring in there, and then I put for the male end, I put the tip over the little tip stiffener part of the print, and then I leverage it down in there and do my best to push it in by hand. It's super snug. I was not able to completely install the pin over the spring in the plastic by hand. So what I then did is I took a light mallet and something with a blunt end, and basically with the track upside down, so that the top of the pin and the spring and the track were all on a hard surface, smooshed, tapped down the track. So basically what's happening is the sides of the pin are getting wedged between the printed plastic and the spring rail itself. So those are in there good and tight, and they're not going anywhere. There is the completed track section. This is a Polycar R6 size track, 11¼ degrees of angle. Maurizio has also sent me R7 6 1/8 angle pieces, as well as R6 5 and no, yeah, 6 1/8, no, 5 and 3, anyways, half of 11¼ angle pieces, and borders for everything. This is a photograph of the printed piece in between a Polycar R2 and a Polycar standard straight. It did take a little bit of effort to get them together, but if you're already a user of Polycar or have put together Polycar track pieces, they generally take a little bit of effort to get together the first time anyways. So these are pretty good solid connections. The end pins are basically the exact same stainless steel as the steel on the Polycar track. I have not driven a car on it with a controller, but I did push a car across it just to make sure, and then I used a 9-volt battery to the rails to make a car go under its own power across it. And as you would expect, there is a very light zippering noise as the car goes across the spring, just kind of zip like that. So presumably there will be some additional wear on guide braids if you have a lot of these in your track. But yeah, and then I have a picture, I believe, with border. Oh, gotta zoom back out. There we go. Close-up picture of the track. You can kind of see a texture here. This is the same piece that I showed a while back. This is a Hilbert curve pattern that I used on the bottom layer because I printed the track upside down. It does not provide any noticeable level of texture or grip, but the tires on the track surface had plenty of coefficient of friction. Like I pushed the car sideways and it didn't slip easily, and I tilted the track up and it basically had to get way past 45 degrees for the car to move sideways at all. So plenty of grip between the tires and at least the PETG plastic that I used. And there's the underside. Kind of see the print underside, no big deal. Here is the border. Basically the exact same as a standard injection molded Polycar border. I did shave off the little lip on the outside that they have on their borders for their fences and stuff, because I wanted to be able to print it upside down, because otherwise you would need all of these flat surfaces to be fully supported, which is a huge waste of material, and I don't like doing that. But this print is an example of me using PLA as the support structure for the PETG, which does not stick to the PETG, so the support comes off very easily, and you can use zero gap between the support and the print. For those who are familiar with 3D printing, that makes your supported layer very nice. Here's a close-up picture of that support. This is silk PLA, which I was testing to see if it would work better, and it does. And then standard PETG, black PETG. And this is the surface that you get as a result, which is pretty darn close to a good first layer of the print straight on the bed, except it's on plastic rather than on a metal bed. So this just popped right off. No permanent connection, no need for a knife or any prying tools, just popped right off. And at least this particular experiment has shown me that silk PLA works better as a support for PETG than plain PLA, because of whatever the composition of the silk is. They put TPU in it to make it shiny. But the issue with regular PLA is sometimes because the whole point is that they don't bond to each other permanently, right? They just pop apart. But that also means they don't bond to each other very well during the printing. And so when you print PETG on top of PLA, sometimes it doesn't even stick well enough to stay in place for the continued printing of the rest of the piece. And you end up with ugly track and possible complete failures as a result. So the silk PLA worked much better than regular PLA. So I'm going to keep doing that until it doesn't work anymore. But yeah, so this just shows how awesome that layer is from that support. Any questions on that before I move on to my shiny new yellow and blue thing?
Let's go back to the your Harbor Freight kit, not
Sure.
kit, but the Inox bottle. It seems a lot smaller than mine. Is that a smaller bottle than?
I rebottled that. So
Okay, because I was gonna say my bottle is just huge.
yeah. The bottle I got from because I got it before it was even in slot car shops, right? So I got a
Gotcha.
big bottle that's basically, like 8 inches tall.
Okay, so you repurposed another bottle for that. Okay, that's what I need to do too. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, definitely for any slot car enthusiast, getting some empty needle bottles for this kind of thing is definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was not the stock Inox bottle. The small ones that are being sold in slot car shops now are definitely smaller, but I'm not sure that they're that small. I've not bought one, so I don't know. Okay, moving on. My new hotness. This is the Revo Slot Lister Storm.
Pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely no surprises whatsoever. It is a Revo Slot car. So beautiful body. Just that's all really that you can say. It looks fantastic. And there's the top view and the bottom view. The only issue that I had on this car, which I don't normally have, is the front axle pillow blocks or brackets or whatever you want to call them were tweaked a little bit. So the front axle basically didn't have a nice free spin, slowed down like within a second from giving it a spin. So I did, I loosened up the screws and, made sure it spun freely, and then made sure there was a little teeny bit of play, and then tightened them up carefully so they didn't just tweak right back to where they were before. And it still was not perfect, but it's good enough. So I'm done with that. But yeah, it's Revo Slot. So it runs just like you would expect it to. And that's pretty much it for my show and tells for now. So I'm going to stop that.
That's more blue and gold than blue and yellow, though, Greg.
I mean, the yellow
You could
is
branch
yellow.
out.
The yellow is definitely yellow. And if there's a blue and gold car that the gold is nice and yellow gold rather than just kind of a muted matte gold like they usually are, I'd be all about that.
Yeah, no, it's a good
would
combination, blue and gold.
I would prefer that livery to have a little bit more yellow. If the wheels weren't yellow, I might pass on that, but they help. They definitely help with the blue to yellow ratio.
Still a pretty car.
Yeah, absolutely.
What category? Yeah. What category is that car fit in? GT.
I think that's just GT, like GT1.
Yeah, it's GT1, I think, for them.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any show and tell? I guess not. So we'll move on to Club Corner. I'll talk about mine, and then we'll get to Mike. Many of you might have already seen that I ran my cameras live on Monday because the guys are over at my house. We are continuing the NSR Modern GT.
By the way, sorry to interrupt, Greg, but the way that you displayed sort of who was racing and who was on deck was really cool.
That took a little bit of work in OBS Studio. Gio was complimenting me on that. I wish I had better quality cameras, but I'm not about to dump a bunch of money into that kind of thing because that's not my bag. But I did spend a good few minutes manipulating the scenes, as they call them. And one of the cool things is that you can basically create a source from any Windows window. Any program on Windows can be a source for the computer, for the broadcast. And you can basically crop to which part of the window you want to show and put that anywhere on the screen in the scene. So for one scene, one of my cameras is a wider view. So I put the lane 1 and lane 2 indicators down in this kind of empty section that didn't have my track in it. And then the other scene has just kind of a regular 4x3 camera. So I put them on top of each other over to the side. And so that was the nifty thing, is that I could basically just crop down to lane 1 as a square and put it where I want, and lane 2 as a square and put it where I want, and then that's the scene. So I basically have two scenes, one with my overhead wide camera and the lane, information, and then the other with my farther away regular camera with them, and then it basically just switches. Had to download a plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher or Automatic Scene Switcher or something like that. It's not built in, but it was a free download, plugin thing for it, and basically programmed it to just automatically switch between the two scenes every 30 seconds. Because I like that time. It gives people enough time to just kind of see what's happening in the video and look at the lap count information and who's on deck. The program in question for the race management is called Race Manager, and it's the program that was written by one of our members a long time ago. So it was basically written specifically for the way that we race, with the crash and burn and running 2 separate 1-minute heats per heat. It's the only program that does it that way. No, I can't make any other program run the same way, which is annoying because he's no longer with us and can't update and fix bugs and make the program work with, new hardware and new operating systems and stuff. But it's still working. So thank you for that compliment. Hopefully that wasn't too much information for people who are not interested in broadcasting things. But I do have some pride in having done that work, having figured it out, and putting that together. I apologize for anybody who noticed that the faraway camera was out of focus quite a bit. I have since tweaked that. It wasn't super bad, but it was definitely blur. It looked like a dirty lens, basically. But that has now been rectified. So the next broadcast, which will probably be in 2.5 months, the next time the guys come over, that should be a more crisp image.
What type of cameras did you use, Greg?
The faraway camera is an old Logitech, whatever model 290 something, super cheap, but Logitech brand. The wide angle camera is some super cheap Chinesium camera that I found on Amazon, where I was very specifically looking for a wide angle webcam at rock bottom pricing. So I'm actually using the microphone in the Logitech, which is a much higher quality microphone. The microphone in the cheap Chinesium thing is just absolute garbage. Sounds terrible. I tried combining the microphones to get the highs from the Chinese thing and the lows from the Logitech, and yeah, they don't match up. The delay is significant. Just the processing of the stuff. Anyways, yeah. So Logitech and cheapo.
So they're actually webcams.
They are both webcams. Yes, they're
Yeah,
both
well,
computer
if I've got to
webcams.
go somewhere, I can.
Yeah, you don't have to spend. You don't really have to spend a lot of money for a half decent camera.
But you do for a half decent microphone.
Yeah, audio is well. It's funny if you get it once you get into production. Audio. You're told very specifically, audio isn't everything. It's the only thing.
It's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, television really is radio with pictures.
Yep. Yeah, and it's much easier to let some picture imperfections slide than audio imperfections.
And you'll pick up the bad audio right away and just go, it's interesting. Yeah, because if you think about it, that's really the eyes behind in the back of your head, right? It's really interesting stuff.
So back to the racing, we were continuing our NSR Modern GT, no mag, a little bit of ballast optional series, and I had a bit of a home track advantage, but I flubbed hard a couple of times and lost quite a few laps as a result.
I was going to say, when I was watching, because you drive crash and burn.
Yeah.
And you had a yellow car that went off, and then I can't remember which race that.
Yeah, the very first thing that we did after the guys were done practicing was run IROC. And the IROC cars are basically just random cars that the host provides. This time I chose my Scalextric Fiat 500, aka Cinquecento cars. They're 1/32 scale cars, just like the one that I drive in real life. They still had their magnets in, still had their stock tires. So the stock tires aren't particularly good, and the magnet wasn't particularly strong, and the cars are particularly narrow and tall. So,
So short wheelbase, narrow track, high center of gravity. What could go wrong?
everything that you saw.
Just roll with it.
Roll with it. Exactly. It was kind of funny because, you know, the whole idea behind the way we run IROC is to get guys to be more concerted and strategic with how they drive a car they've never driven before, right? Take your first lap or two gingerly and very gently work up to where you think the limit is. Yet still half these guys will drive the car just like it's one of their old favorites. They just pull the trigger and go fast, and they're like, what the hell happened? It just, cars just doing, you know, multiple barrel rolls. I'm like, bruh, you know, this, you've never driven this car. Why are you driving it like you know it?
Well, maybe they're more into bocce balls than slot cars.
But anyway, so the what ended up happening is we ran one heat and there was crashing. And then we ran another heat and there was crashing, and I looked up and realized, oh crap, I hadn't clicked a little checkbox we have on this program called keep laps, which means the laps from the first minute are added with the laps on the second minute for each heat. If you don't check that keep laps box, then the laps from the first minute are forgotten when you run the second minute. So the first heat was ran with however many, you know, 1 or 2 laps each guy got forgotten. And then the second heat was run with the first laps forgotten as soon as I would have started the second minute. So I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to start over because we're only 2 heats in. We only had 8 guys anyway, so it wasn't going to take long to get through all the heats. And so I said, okay, since you guys are all having so much problems with this, everybody who has not already run a heat or part of a heat can go ahead and drive the cars around, which is, you know, you don't get practice with the IROC cars with our club. You start with the heat and you learn the car real time. But because we're having to start over, the guys who had run in those first 2 heats had hands-on practice with those cars that are such a pain in the butt to drive. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, everybody else who hadn't pulled a trigger on these cars gets to practice. I did not practice because not only do I have the home track advantage, but I know these cars. I didn't practice with them. They've been in my box for years, but I know what's going to happen with these cars. Also, having just watched these guys do what I expected them to do. So everybody got a little bit of practice with the IROC cars. Then we started all over again with the IROC heats. And it still went poorly for some of them because they just were not learning from their own mistakes. But it definitely went better for some of the other ones. I think I won the IROC race. I forgot to take a picture because I did not come off at all for either of my 2 IROC. Or actually, no, I did come off on one of them, but it was like right at the end of the minute. So I didn't really lose, maybe a lap at most. Whereas most of the guys that came off, it was like early in the minute, so they lost multiple laps. So that was a hoot. And then we did the NSRs, and you know, they drive like NSRs, great cars. Similarly, I made a couple of oofs and did not finish high on the list. I think I was 4th, maybe 3rd. You can watch the video to see. In fact, you can watch the video to see where I ended up on the IROC if you want to go rewind that and find out where I actually ended up on the IROC. I had not planned it in advance because I didn't plan it in advance, but apparently the parts that I had sectioned off for the lap counting were also parts that showed the order of the final order of the race and the number of laps. So inadvertently, viewers could see the full final finishing order and the lap totals and everything. I couldn't see the whole thing, didn't see like points and bonus points and that kind of stuff, but you could see the finishing order. And then everybody went home, and Russ did his recording stuff too. So you know, if you're subscribed to Russ's channel, he'll have a video up in a few days, I'm sure. Yeah, that's it. Anybody else want to do questions?
What did you use to clean your track to get it in order for the race?
Say that again.
What did you use to clean your track? What was the process you used to clean your
Oh,
track to get it for the
tires.
race?
Tires. Yeah. So basically, that after I finished cleaning up my mess of a garage that morning because I'm a procrastinator, I set two of my NSR cars with the spec tires on the track with controllers set to a low
Okay, just let
pace
them run
speed
and
and just
just
let them go around. The downside is that on my track there is a hard 90-degree R1 turn. So the fastest the cars can be set to go is just slow enough to not come off on that turn. So pretty much the entire rest of the track, they're not sliding very much at all. After the first 10 or 20 laps of me cleaning the tires every couple laps, most of the dust in the actual groove line of the track was picked up. But there was still dust in the sliding areas of some turns. The R1s got taken care of because the cars were actually sliding out in those turns. But then after letting that happen for a few hours, I drove a car around manually and definitely slid more because I was actually, very gently sliding in the turns. And then I had to clean the tires some more. And then when the guys get there, they expect to have to clean the tires on the track during practice time. So I don't bother. I used to get out the vacuum cleaner, get out the dust rag, and just do the whole track and be like, okay, now my track is clean. But it never was. You'd always be picking up more with the tires. So why in the world am I doing work that doesn't actually do any valuable? Now, if there's debris, if there's visible debris on your track, definitely get out the vacuum. But don't bother with a wet rag and a dust rag and stuff like that unless you can see it, right? If you can see it, then do those things. But if you can't see dust and debris on your track, just let the tires do it because they're going to do it no matter how hard you try to get it off of there with a dust rag or whatever.
And you said the word hours.
Hours, yeah. Well, they were going at a slow speed.
Yeah.
And the track has literally been disused since the last time they were here 2.5 months ago.
Okay.
Under a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to make sure not only was the dust picked up, but it was like kind of rubbered in a little bit more.
Okay.
Plus, I was charging one of the controllers at the time, and I, went off and did other things. Continued cleaning up the garage in various places.
Okay.
So yeah. All right, moving on. Anybody else got any questions on that stuff?
Oh,
Not hearing any. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I was just gonna start.
Yep, your turn.
Okay, let me get the thing. See if I can get my finger up here to share. I had an interesting thing happen. Let's go backwards. That's new. Okay. So this is the first race we did. I did not expect to race yesterday. I put it out there for the guys to race, and Shiggy had a new knee replacement on Thursday. So he was out of commission, and Joe had to work. And Joel texted me back and said, "In traveling," and I thought he meant he's traveling. But what he meant was, "I'm in, traveler." So he shows up at 4:15, and I'm not ready with anything. So I basically grabbed 4 cars off the shelf and said, "Let's race." I didn't have the track clean, nothing. So we ran the cars for a little bit and cleaned the track off. And then what we decided to do, the first class that I used was some slotted LMPs that we had. But I gave myself a big disadvantage because I know Joel doesn't drive that well. She's still learning the track, and he still tends to he's got years and years of grab the throttle as hard as you can, and has problems with the modulation that way. So I went, okay. So what I did is in PC Lap Counter, you can adjust the number of segments per liter. And I gave myself 500 less segments for a liter of gas. And it worked, as you can see by the results, it worked pretty well for an evener to get the cars equal. And he actually did fairly well on that particular car. You can see he's only, in fact, he was faster than mine. He had a faster lap than mine with his car. He had a better car. I took the worst car of the two, and gave him the good one, and then I did further cut the fuel that way, and so it went back and forth the entire race until the very end. I got him by 2 laps, but it was pretty close. It seesawed, and I would get ahead of him, but I had to make sure that I didn't crash. And these were, these are flat 6 powered cars, so they're fairly powerful, and even at 12 volts. And he had more of a problem that way. So, but it was a good race all in all. It was pretty fair. The second one, whoops, come on, didn't you? There we go. Okay. The second one was not quite as good. We used Polycar Formula Ones, the Ferrari 126C, and the Williams FW07 that I replaced the motor and everything with a Polycar pod assembly and redid. And that actually, the FW07 that I've modified is actually a little bit quicker than the original Polycar Ferrari 126C2. So I had the Ferrari was again the slower car of the two, but he had, for some reason, had more trouble with Formula Ones. With ghost cars, he touch a ghost car and it's gone. And he also was prone to coming back behind me because he was a little bit quicker on the straights. He would touch the back end of my car right off. So he had many more offs on that particular one. And the videos are up if you want to see them on Road America Northwest on YouTube. So, but it was fun. It was not expected, and it was great to have some racing again. So, good fun. All right, I will unshare that and lower my hand.
Anybody else want to do any show and tell or club corner stuff? All right, I've got a new product on the market to talk about. Let me share my screen. This is the Cincy Slots.com tire machine. It is a whole axle machine with a sliding plate design. Specifically designed for Carrera cars, but can do pretty much any whole axle. But these special brackets are designed to hold the different types of bushings on Carrera cars. Specifically, the Carrera 124th cars have just like a brass spacer as a bushing. It doesn't use a flanged bushing. So they would creep side to side on a regular bracketed tire chewer like these. So he's got these little screw-on brackets. Use some clever ideas. It's got like heat set inserts for these screws to go in, so you're not, stripping out the plastic by screwing things in and out over time. Got a little push button to start and stop his reciprocator design. And there is also an extensive ad-riddled YouTube on the Cincy Slots YouTube channel that goes over the details of the machine. Pretty sure it's exclusive to Cincy Slots website, given it says cincyslots.com right on it. But it is $145 from Cincy Slots with everything you see here. So if you're looking for that kind of machine, go for it. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention is in his design, rather than having a large flat area for your sandpaper to go, he uses these little insets for these blocks. You put your little strip of sandpaper on the top of the block and then use whichever block is an appropriate height to get close to your tires. So if you have like, really big tires or really small tires, you can, I don't know, get rid of some of the height difference before even having to turn the knob. I like the idea of using a small patch rather than a big wide patch, because then you're going off and on the tire and it kind of lets the tire cool and the debris not build up. So that's a cool idea on that.
Sorry to interrupt, Greg. Is that all 3D printed?
Yeah, as far as I believe. Obviously there's springs. I think another idea he used is linear bearings on the rods that carry the axle bracket up and down. So these rods have springs around them, and then inside the printed part, there's linear bearings for a rod. People who have 3D printers are familiar with those kind of bearings. But otherwise, the whole thing is 3D printed, obviously not the motors. Yep. Any other questions? I don't have one, so I don't really know much more about it than what we can see in the picture here. Alrighty, none, hearing none. Let me check to see if I had anything else I wanted to talk about. I don't think so. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about? Now is the time. Oh, Dewan's got his hand up. Go ahead, Dewan.
I guess this weekend is going to be pretty exciting.
Slot Nationals, people are already flying there.
Yes. So unfortunately, I won't be there this year. But I do plan on watching the whole thing on live streaming, and I do have a proxy in place.
I was going to say, who is your proxy?
Yeah, so I'm having everybody root for my stand-in, which is Thomas Narita. He's he came all the way from El Segundo.
All the way from right next door to the shop.
Yeah, he walked next door. Anyway, so yeah, he's going to be representing Team Clark stand-in. Unfortunately, I can't. I wanted to be the sponsor, but they don't allow that. So he's taking my spot. But I'm going to be rooting for him, and it looks like he's got a decent car. Still, he should finish far ahead of where I would have been.
Has he competed at any other big events before?
Yeah, he was a stand-in last year for I think Dennis Brown or some. I think it was Dennis Brown. He stood in for someone last minute last year. So it's I guess a common thing for him to do now. But
wow, he's like the Oriole Servia of slot car racing.
Yeah, exactly. Designated hitter. But yeah, he has all my parts and everything running in his cars, and it's I'll see how he does. And an ironic thing is that he's a local guy from LA, and we attended rival high schools.
Oh, did you?
So we had our two high schools were, yeah, they were our nemesis. So we're teaming up together to make this happen in the slot car world. We've settled our differences. But anyway, Thomas Narita, he's going to be the guy that you guys should be rooting for on my behalf.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely something to watch this weekend.
Yeah.
Lots of good slot car racing, and live commentating and all their usual stuff.
Yeah. I was trying to make a cameo appearance, but it looks like that's not going to happen.
Well, let us know if you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it for me.
That's it. Cool beans. Go ahead, Mr. Weber.
Let's see. May I circle back for a quick
Of course.
show and tell?
The floor is open.
All right. I've been looking
for one of these for quite some time. They're really hard to come by, but at least if you're judging by eBay prices, it's an Aurora Corvair Monza SS model.
Ooh,
The problem is it's not the whole model, but that's not really a problem because I'm going to make a slot car out of it anyway. So I picked this up, and it has a really nice paint job on it. I was prepared to probably change that, but that's okay. The paint job's too good to destroy, so I'll figure out something else.
yeah, but it's red, John.
Yeah, it's red. It's red.
Yeah, but you know what? That is a good job.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's better than I could do. So, and as for a comparison to this is the late model Corvair that I've been working on. And I may have mentioned I drove a Corvair in high school, but it was this body style. Now, also, here's a Strombecker Ferrari Dino for size comparison. So you can see they're pretty close. So anyway, that should be really interesting. On these things, the entire kit, I suppose unbuilt, the entire Aurora kit on eBay right now is like 90 or $100. There's almost no place that I've seen them that they were relatively inexpensive. So, you know, I guess they're pretty rare beasts. Now, I have the little coupe, the Corvair GT, Monza SS, Monza GT is the coupe. I had one of those, and it'd been someone had messed with it and with a soldering iron burned some holes in the body. So I picked up another one of those also. This is a complete assembled kit. So that'll probably be a better starting point, but not much as far as the coupe is concerned. And
Where did you find that, John?
on eBay.
Oh,
On it, yeah. The coupe was $15 plus shipping.
oh wow.
Which is not really that bad.
No.
This body was 25 plus shipping. So that's a lot of money for a body, you know, a model car body. But like I say, I think these genuinely are pretty rare. So
Yeah, I think the coupe is easier to get than the SS for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this version of the SS is different than the more commonly shown version. I guess it's GM that takes these things to some of the big car shows, and there was one on, where was that thing? Amelia Island, maybe a few years ago, where they brought out a whole bunch of Corvette prototypes, and they had both the Monza prototypes and some other stuff. And this version does not have the basket handle. I had not seen a version or a photo of this model before I bought the model. Then I went back and did some research and found some images of this particular body style of the Monza SS. The other one looks a bit like a Dino that had the basket handle, or a Ferrari P2 or a Dino that had a basket handle. And Pininfarina and Bertone both styled prototype models for General Motors that were apparently, they picked up some of the styling cues from those and use them in the production models and in these prototypes also. Anyway, I thought there was kind of interesting stuff. But another cool project, just another, well, maybe it's just a project. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for showing off your cool finds. All right, Jeremy, what you got?
Did you guys see that Sideways has these new liveries out? I don't know if you guys already talked about this or not. I just saw it on their Facebook page, but a couple of new liveries that they have out. I don't know if this car, like, I know this car is not new, but finally we get something different in the Ford. That'll be nice. This seems to be the standard Ford
Yeah.
GT livery. I mean, there might be something a little bit different on that one. Red one, and let's see, looks like a white kit. Don't know how far, if this is
Was
anything
that
new
the-
or not.
296 Ferrari?
I don't know. Let's see if it.
Yes.
It doesn't have a sticker anywhere. There you go.
Yeah,
Courtney knows.
that's the new 296.
Yeah, the white kid is.
Yeah, and there was some liveries. There's some fresh liveries of it too,
Okay.
and they're there.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, it's not a Ferrari because you don't see a prancing pony anymore, right? So it's just a car that looks like other cars.
It's an
Right.
F car, a Tennessee car.
Yeah. Looks like they're going to keep the same configuration here. So
That's
I
cool.
saw it on their Facebook page, and I always comment on their Facebook page. Do you guys have a website? Because I don't know where the website went. It's just gone. And I just want to. I know, but if I keep every time they do this, at some point somebody's going to say, "Can we get a 12-year-old kid in here to create a website for us?" That'd be great. But
AI.
like if they just talk to me and say, "Jeremy, give me something, I can do something in 10 minutes for them." But oh well. I just want to see parts diagrams, know what fits with what, which I have a few that I need to replace a few things. I want to know what to buy. Like, it would just be, I know they used to have it. I know for sure they used to have it. They must have let it expire and maybe they don't have access to their servers anymore. I don't know. But anyway, go to their Facebook page and let them know that, cool, they have new cars.
Yeah, I wish they still had their website, and I can't believe that it was just like a clerical error that lost them their website.
Is that what it was?
Or
you don't know?
I have not heard why it disappeared, but it's like it can't be something that stupid, right? They have to have said, "Oh well, we're just not. It's not worth the time and whatever."
The hosting fee of $20 a year or whatever might have been.
People only care about the news stuff, so we'll just do social media or something.
I know. I hate it.
I still love opening a Revo slot or a BRM because of those awesome, nicely printed, bifold cards that basically show the car and then the opposite side with every single part
A
enumerated.
blow up of all the parts you could use and
the name of the
so
part,
nice.
the part number of the part, everything.
I'm not a big Revo fan, but that is one of the best things they do. Like that
Right.
chart they give you is so on point.
Yeah, everybody should do that. Slot It used to do it. They would not necessarily include it with their cars, but you could go online and look at their catalog, and the catalog would show it. But nowadays, the catalog doesn't even show that. It's just,
I know.
here's pictures of the car. Cool story, bro.
Cool story. So anyway, let Sideways know that they have a task.
Dude.
Somebody should
Or
do
we
it.
can set AI to the challenge of creating a database.
Yeah, you don't want me making your website for you, Racer Sideways. You better get on that. I'll make the unofficial Racer Sideways website.
It was like Racer, right? Because that's their brand is the Racer. I don't know if they even do racer cars anymore. It's just Racer Sideways. But
What's Racer Sideways Silver Line or something? I don't know what they're calling it. It's like
that
Yeah,
was
they
the
used to be
original-
racer and they used to be higher end. If I
remember.
recall,
I remember I had one from Racer that was a resin body Porsche, like a 911.
That's the Racer Silver line, basically. Is
Yeah.
or whatever the line was. It was resin
And-
bodies and slotted
Again,
chassis.
this would be a great way to have a website with your history on it and why you have 4 different names of your we need to know this stuff. It helps brand identity. John
could
Kitt
probably
works in
find-
brand identity. Call him up.
We could probably find a lot of it in the Internet Archive. We just need to remember what the actual website URL was, and I don't
Yeah.
remember it. there's probably
Gone.
something out there that still has a link to it. That's a broken link, but then you get the domain name, pop it into the web archive, archive.org search engine, and then see what's there, see where it ends, and then it's like, okay, 0 pages after that stored. Well,
Yeah.
let's stop doing that in 20 whatever.
Internet
That is
Archive it. Okay.
I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Floor is open. Anything you guys got? I'm having a whiskey and Coke because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Greg, have you tried out the new firmware yet? For oxygen?
I mean, as far as installing, you mean the one that's supposed to have fixed everything?
Yeah. Well, the
No.
one for V3 that's that I was going to use that fixed the short lap problem that Maurizio apologized for screwing up.
Seems no reason for me to bother testing that since he had already admitted. But no, I had forgotten, gotten to doing other things, and then that just went gone.
Yeah. Well,
Also, my track has been buried in crap, so I'll be able to do more testing now that it's
yeah. Now that you cleaned it off.
Now that I cleaned it off, it makes sense to do some testing. Just like installing firmware. Okay, it installed. No,
Yeah.
you can't test
Oops,
it.
car doesn't run.
This car doesn't. Yeah, no, they're still doing
Yeah,
their thing.
I'm almost afraid to try it, and I will only start with one car.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely don't do any one. Test the hell out of it before you do any others.
Yeah.
Or say, hey, Greg, can you test this real quick and let me know if it works? Then I'll do it. I'll be happy to be a guinea pig for you on any new firmware version, just because that's the kind of guy I am.
I got other things I'd like you to do. I'd like to fit that, Malafama from the forum, the slot forum.
Yeah.
I'd like to reproduce his track on my for my second track in Oxygen, and I'm so frustrated with that freaking program. I just like want to throw it. It's just.
I mean, send me an email with a reminder of what space you're going to dedicate to it. Like,
okay.
I assume the secondary track is where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Are you gonna try to use those exact tables, or are you gonna build some different shapes out to make it more rectangular or something? Because that's
I was gonna make it rectangular.
Okay. Yeah.
So that'd be bring this part out that's directly behind me here.
Yeah.
So I bring that out so it just about hits my head.
Yeah.
So
let me know. Actually, go ahead and tell me right now what would the length and width be after you do that.
Okay. Will do.
I mean, you can tell me now.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
We're not doing anything else. I mean, I can share my track planner. We can do some live track planning.
And Greg, the track pieces you're doing for Polycar, are you marketing that?
No, that's not mine to market. That's Slotted. Those are their designs that they've shared to me initially for testing to see if just a regular person with a home printer can do it, or rather to prove that it can be done. And then they're going to share they're going to share the files online. So anybody with a printer or who wants to send off those files to Shapeways or whatever kind of printing service can print it out.
Yeah. But you do need a large format printer to be able to get those size parts. I mean, come on.
Not all of them are super large. Like the R6, the R6 is on the large side. Let me check this real quick here. You need a printer at least 270 millimeters in the long direction to print the R6. The R6 11 and a quarter degrees, but they do R6 5 and 3,
Yeah, the half,
7
half,
eighths or whatever
yeah,
the heck
half,
it is.
yeah, half, yeah.
So that's half the size, right? So you can fit that on. You'll be able to fit that on pretty much
Yeah.
any printer. And then the borders are the same way. Some of them are pretty long, but you know, a lot of them are just the same as the small piece of track. So yeah, it depends entirely on the piece.
Did they happen to say like what kind of license they're going to release with this? Like, will I be able to take their designs and then sell them if somebody wants to buy them?
Oh, buy prints of them?
Yeah.
He did not mention that. My
Okay.
guess is going to be a non-commercial license.
Well,
Personally, this is my personal opinion. I am not a lawyer, but given the number of printing services out there that you can say, I'm going to send you the file, you send me the print. I don't consider that commercial use, right? So you are the user, and that service is your surrogate printer for your own personal use. That printing service, obviously, you pay them for their printing services, but they are not printing stacks of these things and putting them on Etsy or eBay to sell.
They're not a retailer. Yeah.
They're not a retailer. They're not printing that specific.
Courtney, mute your phone. Courtney,
well, I
mute.
want to say,
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, right before I muted you.
well, I wanted to say, couldn't you take those prints and print all your own track pieces?
Yeah, but they're only providing the files to print for tracks they don't produce.
Yeah, but
Right,
you
so
could
you
modify.
can't
But you could modify that.
A smart, like Jeremy was saying, a smart person could do that. But I'm not gonna.
You still need that kit to make the rails and everything, so it's probably going to be more. Yeah.
It's absolutely more expensive to print a piece and buy the rails and put it all together than to just buy the track from Polycar, their injection molded track. That, unless you have like a glutton for punishment situation, you don't want to print tracks that you can just go buy. But they're not gonna injection mold those, super uncommonly wanted pieces because there's just not enough sales potential for them to put the money into the molds that cost tens of thousands of dollars to produce.
It's a great concept. Personally, I'd love to see some. Yeah.
But to Courtney's question, like I could take that file, modify it, put my own name on it, call it Jeremy, Jeremy track, and then sell it. But like the time and effort it would take to print each one of those and make enough to get it to, I mean, I would again be making less than tens of dollars at that point. And plus it would be kind of a douche move to take somebody else's stuff, slap your own stuff on it, and then go.
I mean, you don't even have to change it. You could just give it a new name and share it and stuff. That would be a douche move.
That would be a douche.
Yeah, like you're saying, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the effort, right? Like I only plan to do one more piece of R6 in order to use the other rail kit that they sent me. I am highly unlikely to print any of the other tracks they sent because with two pieces of R6 11 and a quarter, now I can actually put a track together that uses both pieces. With just one of them, I would not be able to make a track that meets end to end. So with two of them, I can do a track that meets end to end. No need to print any other pieces. But when they do the pit lane, those I will print for sure because they're going to supply, the electronics and solenoid and rails for the pit lane, but they're not going to mass produce pit lane entrance and exit tracks.
Well,
how long did it take you to print those? Was it about 2 hours or so?
I wish.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
It might be 2 hours if I didn't use the different support material, but I'm using the tool changer.
Oh yeah, use multi. Okay.
That adds time. So for one R6 piece, using the different support material, it's about 7 hours on my XL. You could go faster. The XL goes for quality over speed. So I could probably speed that up if I really wanted to, but I'm not in a rush. So as long as it succeeds and I can use the piece when it's done, I don't care how fast it is. But yeah, it takes some time. And then even with the fancy, easily broken off supports, it's still going to take me a few minutes to clear them out from all the little nooks and crannies that this time I'm putting support everywhere. I'm putting them in the connector sockets and everything. So like literally every bridge is fully supported, because I spent more time on the previous print cleaning out little bits that didn't do a perfect bridge or, didn't connect perfectly. I just don't want to do that.
Did they design these for 3D printers then, or do you think why they didn't make pre-support? Or they just released the files raw?
It's just a file, right? They did not design them for filament printing for sure. Sure, it'd be fantastic on SLS, and I think they might have used multi-jet fusion for theirs, which would be fantastic for this kind of thing. But the borders, like I said when I was talking about them earlier, the borders have a little lip on the outside edge for their fences to hook onto, which means the only way to print it with the top side down is to shave off 1.5 millimeters of that lip, so it's no longer a lip. Otherwise, you have to print it top side up and then support the entire surface of the track. So they did not design these for filament printing at all. But with the right machine, it works. Prusa XL, 2 tools or more. Bamboo Labs H2D. There's bunches of IDEX printers out there. There's more and more tool changers out there. Forget the brand that's been showing on Facebook all over the place, but it's a well-known brand with a 4-tool tool changer. It's going to be just like a few $100s that they're advertising. And then there's another company that's advertising a tool changer that is just a hot end changer. So the tool grabs the hot end, so you can actually fit more hot ends on your printer than tools. So it'd be like 8 hot ends. So you get the same benefits of a tool changer, except on a tool changer, each hot end can be ready to go, heated up and ready to go. So the change is super quick, like 2 or 3 seconds, like on the XL. This thing uses inductive heating for the heat block for the nozzle. So when it picks up a nozzle, the nozzle is cool for that hot end that it picks up, but then it heats up like that. It takes like 10 seconds to heat it up to printing temperature because they're using inductive heating. And then when they put it back, it cools down. So depending on how often you're changing tools, that will certainly add up over time. But it's way less expensive because it's just hot ends that you're having multiple of, rather than a complete tool head with the motors and the extruders and the sensors and everything. So that'll be cool once that is readily available. Sorry, I'm just talking 3D printing now. You got your hand up, but give me a sec. I want to show my printer monitor screen real quick. Not that one. Not that one. That one. But this one. There we go. So that is my actual printer currently printing the second R6 track piece. So the black.
Is that sorry, Greg? Is that a photo or is that actually happening live?
That's alive. You'll see the tool move every 10 seconds. It's just doing a 10-second continuous slideshow basically. There you saw it move a little bit.
So you've got that other material in the slots and the rail spaces as well.
Correct. Yeah. So this is because the quality of the print for not only the slot for the car's guide to go in is important, but also the slot for the springs to go in. I decided to do it this way, whereas my previous piece I didn't, because there's what we call bridging that goes from you know, over the walls, between the walls on the top of the print. Usually very short distances like that are no problem. You still have a good quality surface. But even then, I had little bits that I had to dig out and cut away that were causing problems for the spring to go through. It was doable, but I didn't want to do it anymore. So this time I'm literally printing support for the slot, the bottom, or in this case, the top while it's printing, the bottom of the slot, the bottom of the rail pockets or slot, the tabs, you know, the connection tabs, the little piece of pin that the actual steel pin goes over, like the slots on the side that the borders clip into. Everything is being supported by this material so that it should be fairly quick and easy for me to break away. The only stuff that's going to be hard to break away is where it's going inside like a slot for the connection tab, because it'll be fully surrounded. So I'll kind of have to pull it out and then break out any little bits that remain. But it should still be relatively easy. But yeah, what you're seeing here, the black is the track that's going to stay, and the white is the support material that's going to get thrown away. So just wanted to show that because I could.
That's very. Now, did you set up that camera, or does the 3D printer come with a camera?
A lot of printers come with cameras. That one did not, so I had to set up my own camera. But it was, you know, $30 worth of electronics and some tweaking of things, and printed my own little housing for the electronics to go in. Fun little project, so I did not mind that at all. But you got your hand up. What you want to talk about?
Oh, I just wanted to circle back to John because I found a piece of artwork that he might be interested in seeing. If I could just share my screen. Hopefully he's still there. John, are you there?
Yeah, I can see his ghostly shadow there moving around.
Okay, here we go. So let me just share this, and you can see what I found a good res picture of this for him. So hopefully you can see that.
Yeah.
So now, if you need wheels, if you get inserts for a Corvette, that would work. And you've already got the windscreen, and I believe the real car was red.
Sad to see.
So there you go, John. So first of all, you got to love the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good old Aurora. And oh, John, does it have the exhausts on the side?
Yes. I'm sorry, I just stepped away. The cat brought a dead squirrel in the house, so I had to go take care of it. But
oh, that's real love. You know that.
Yeah, I know. He's like that. Yeah, it does. It does have the side exhausts. The coupe has that too. The GT has that too.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And apparently a different something. I don't have the belly pan for this SS model, but apparently the SS model was a rear engine car, and the GT was a mid-engine car.
Well, actually, you know, I've got a URL. So somebody posted a GT that was at a designer car show in Michigan, and I'll put the URL in the chat for you. But the GT's top was actually one big piece of plexiglass, and the top of the GT was painted. So it was this big sort of almost vacuum piece of plexiglass. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I've personally had a kind of a aesthetic issue with the profile of the Aurora GT model, and it had to do with the top and the windshield and the top. And then I found a couple of pictures, and it's not that far off. I mean, there are lots of slot cars, particularly slot cars, that aren't modeled all that well, and the Aurora is much closer than one might think.
Yeah, Aurora did a really good job of getting stuff out quick to market and being fairly accurate.
Given that the model new probably sold for 79 cents or
40, actually 49. I've got
49 cents. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that the quality and the variety of different designs that they put out. And I've read an article, trying to think of where that was, about the Aurora, the company, initially, and some of the people that work there, their personalities involved, the head people that work there, and the personalities involved, and they were really adamant that they need, like you say, they need to be quick to the market, and they have to be good, you know. And that, for the most part, they really were pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Well, for example, they released a model of the Avro Aero before it actually flew.
I had one.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a Canadian Air Force model. It had the Canadian decals, and you know, it's molded in white.
Yep.
And,
oh yeah, that was Aero
was cool.
201.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a great YouTube channel called Rare and Classic Cars, and this chap, I think he's an accountant for General Motors, and like most people, it would rather be a designer. And I just put the URL for the YouTube video that he did about the Corvair Monza GT, which was shown just a couple of weeks ago. So check it out for sure.
It was like the GT was really kind of like a Batmobile. The way the quote doors, the passenger compartment opened up, that whole thing popped up from the gave access that way. It was,
and I'm pretty sure I think it was what? Yeah, the whole top of the car actually lifted up. There was no doors.
Yeah, there were no doors, unlike the SS.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. The GT was a mid-engine, and they basically took the Corvair motor and turned it backwards.
Yeah. And the designers, the two chief working designers, they were working for Bill Mitchell and his styling group, but they were Larry Shinoda, who you may have heard of, and another guy named Tony Lapine, who came to go to work for Porsche later, and he designed the Porsche 928, 924, 944. And so he did a bunch of different projects for a lot of different car companies. Opel GT for Opel.
And don't forget, Larry Shinoda was a big slot car guy. He designed slot car bodies.
Yeah.
And a lot of them looked like the Corvair Monzas.
For some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
They would probably look like Corvair Monzas if I designed them. So,
and the front of the car actually the lights opened up like they were clamshells.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Which aerodynamically makes no bloody sense, but it looks really cool. Interestingly enough, though, they did use that on the 65 Riviera, right? You know, when they had the lights on the side.
They did.
But the clamshell shells actually disappeared, which makes sense.
Right. Yeah. They folded back into the body.
But, and if you ever see them kind of drooping, it's because I think they were vacuum actuated, which doesn't make much sense. But you know, these cars, they weren't built they weren't built to last.
Some of the biggest trouble I ever got in with my dad was in about 1960. I guess it was 1969. I was a junior in high school, and he worked at a Chevrolet dealership, and in the service, he was the service manager. And so if they had a problem they didn't know how to deal with, he would take it and do test drives and testing and stuff. Sometimes he would bring those cars home with him to lunch. The dealership was about 3 miles from where we lived, and so he'd bring the cars home for lunch and look at them and think about them and stuff, and then go on, take them back. One of them was this 1968 Corvette that was introduced. This is a fresh one. That was the new body style, the Mako Shark body style. Yeah. And it had a vacuum operated panel that hid the
The windshield wipers. Yeah.
Well, somehow or another,
No.
I got in that thing while he was taking a nap in the house during his lunchtime. He brought that thing home. I got in it, was looking around, of course, drooling on everything, and somehow I must have hit a button or something, and I cycled the vacuum operation of that panel somehow or another, and it went out of time. And they had a devil of a time getting that thing straightened out. Now, of course, he didn't know what happened. I finally confessed, but
you're a good man. You're the George Washington of cars.
Yeah, it was under duress.
Well, now think of it this way, though. You're doing the same thing with slot cars, right? You're taking them home, you're fixing them.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, kind of like that. Yep. Anyway,
cool looking car though. Well, yeah, you got the picture back up. Yeah, behind you.
Yeah, this was that. Maybe that was at Road Atlanta. I mean, not Road America. This car show that they had. It's probably been 3-4 years, maybe 5, and GM brought out all these prototypes that had only seen in Road and Track or Star Graphic, or yeah. Let's see.
What's really terrible is that most of them were supposed to be destroyed.
Yeah, sometimes employees would sort of sneak them.
Yeah,
hide them
exactly.
in the yard. Yeah.
Bill Mitchell was one of those guys.
Yep.
It was his department that designed most of these cars, and he actually kept one of them that he drove. He would tend to do that. They would get one in a high state of development after a couple of years, and it was called a Corvette Stingray. It looks like 1963 Stingray convertible or roadster, but like tube frame and
well, that was the one that was actually raced.
Yeah, Dick Thompson. I think
Dick Thompson. Yeah. And it was
raced it in SCCA.
And more importantly, it was in an Elvis movie.
Yeah, cool. But he was like that. They were his. He was in charge of those objects.
Well, that really kind of started with Harley Earl. Harley Earl's rule, and it started with the Y job. Every car that they made as a show car had to be drivable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, much like Mitchell, Harley Earl did that so he could actually drive them, because he drove the Y job, he drove the Buick LeSabre, like he really drove those cars.
If you see behind the red car in this picture.
Oh yeah, that's the Aerovet.
Yeah, that was actually a mid-engine Corvette in 1970. I don't know, 70, 72, somewhere in there.
Well, actually, I think it might be a little earlier than that. It was late 60s, early 70s. Okay. And if you look at the wheels, those are Jim Hall Chaparral wheels.
Oh yeah, cool. Later became BBS wheels.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't pay a dime to them.
And made a lot of money off of them. Yeah. But I wonder if they paid Jim Hall any royalties. But
oh, heck no.
He got lots of parts out the back door.
Well, but the reason that he made those wheels, again, like, because he was into RC flying as well as slot cars, was Firestone would come with different widths of tires and he couldn't keep up. So that's why he made the 2-part rim, so he could actually expand the rim to Firestone's new tire size.
Yep. It is really interesting relationship between he and Firestone and Chevrolet, General Motors in general, but Chevrolet in particular. But anyway, yeah, that's cool.
That is very cool.
All right, Courtney's had his hand up for a while. What you want?
Sorry, Courtney. Sorry.
So, of course, I want to talk about slot cars.
Please.
We've been talking about slot.
So the GT3 proxy is changing tire width for next year. And of course, I'm already testing that. And, I'm always looking for traction. And even with the car I have now, with the widest tires and all that stuff, I still feel like I need more traction / forward bite. Wayne, are you still on?
Looks like he is. He might be busy though.
Yeah, he might not be listening. So anyhow, the guys on Spinny Pinion, Ian and Todd, they're talking about the left to right play on the back of the car and how, almost like a shock absorber, how quick that transitions left to right is, part of traction. But of course, when that rear end moves, as the chassis moves, the rear end wants to steer towards the outside of the turn. So, I'm trying to figure out, do I want left to right, more left to right play on the back of the car? Or do I want to keep it straight behind the car and have up and down suspension? So, most of the cars, and again, this is all wood track proxy racing. Most of the cars don't use suspension. So I'm trying to figure, do I want more left and right play? Has anybody messed with that?
When you say left and right play, is that pod movement left and right?
The rear of the pod.
Just the rear of the pod. You lock the front part of the pod down and then let the back kind of jiggle a little.
There's an angle winder.
Oh no, this is all sidewinder. But to be fair, I usually take the Scale Auto pods, and I used it as a 3-point. I try not to use the 4-point / slot.it. That's my ode to Garth. The slot.it. I try not to use those style of the 4-point pods. I try to use a 3-position pod. That way I have that pivot.
Interestingly enough, from my perspective and on my track, which is not wood, I have found the 4-position Scale Auto hypercar to have worked better with the 4-point than the 3-point.
Yeah, but is it locked down or do you have springs on it?
It is locked down with slight movement.
No springs.
No springs. And that's just by experimentation. One of the reasons that I did it is because it allows the movement. It allows the space for the chip. That was one of the reasons I tried it initially, but I found out that it's actually faster for me on my track.
Well, you still get a little magnetic downforce too.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So Wayne and I were discussing this on, center, not the polar moment of inertia, but the center of gravity. The center of gravity versus traction versus weight. So on my GT3 car currently, what I ended up doing is went with a shorter ratio and more weight to get it off the turns. And obviously my car this year is better. It's got a couple wins in a couple seconds and it's fast, but it's got more tires. It's going to have, the new car is going to have, 40% less tire.
So what tires were you using before?
Yeah, we're 14 mil wide, ultra grips.
Okay. The Vanquish ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. Garth keeps showing his parts here. Are you allowed to use 3D printed aftermarket stuff like Garth's pod?
Yes, you cannot modify the body, but you can use any chassis you want.
Really wants you to use one of his pods.
Well, send it over. I'm going to try it. I kind of think there might be something to that, because that will allow the chassis to bend or to flex fore and aft, and then it gives it the movement left to right. And then
there's more than something to it. Okay. I've got 15 cars that are running with that pod, and they're unbelievable. And that pod will do exactly what you want. And I'll tell you how and why. What you do is on the rear, the two mounting points on the rear of the pod. Okay.
on the rear of the pod, you're
it's two mounting points
or silicone.
Yes,
Yeah.
up and down. Okay, but what you ask for is you want something that will have suspension up and down and a little bit of play left and right. And that pod does that. And the reason it does that is because the screws that are holding the suspension, that are holding the washer, the silicone washers up and down, okay, has a smooth shaft on it, okay, as it goes through, and the hole through the little tabs, okay, is just slightly smaller than the shaft. So it actually gives it a little, because it's mounted on the foam, it actually gives it a little bit of left and right, up and down, front and back, as well as and just a tiny smallest bit, okay. And it just
Okay, so I need a couple of those. What do I got to do? And I'll send you an email, but I hate to say it. We're on our way to Florida. The car's broke down. I'm at the Firestone dealer, and they just got done with my car. So I'm going to run, but I'll catch up with you later.
I got your email. I can give it to Garth if he doesn't have it. He can always email you too.
I thought Courtney was doing the next episode of Storage Wars there for a second with that background he had. I thought, oh, he's traveling, picking up slot car storage stuff.
It's
Nice.
interesting that he said that, because I've been doing a lot of experimenting with that pod, okay, and with different kind of screws and machining my own screws and different types of washers and foam and stuff, and I've come up with a way that is just absolutely, out of this world, according to exactly what he just asked for. Okay, he asked for an up and down and a little bit of movement this way or that way. Okay, and it does exactly that. Okay? I have to charge him about $800 to get one.
You go ahead and like sponsor him with your pod, with a stipulation that says if you win.
No, I actually, what I think I'll do is I'll fucking build a car and try and do that proxy. Okay.
You should run that proxy for sure.
Okay. And I mean, I wouldn't bother with it if I wouldn't have 15 cars sitting there with all that, with that pod in there if I thought it was crappy, you know what I mean? So.
I mean, when Una posts his stuff online with his performance in proxies, he gets a whole lot of interest in his cars and chassis and stuff. So I mean, if you're trying to sell pods,
Yeah, I'm really not trying to sell the pods, okay. and I do post stuff on HRW and show stuff, but nobody seems to be interested in it. So
well, that's what I'm saying.
And I tell you honest, God, truth, I just, given the fact that everybody loves those, 2-point pods and 3-point pods and 3 points with, all that, I'm really surprised nobody's even tried to.
People want to see results. So if you put that in a proxy and get results, people are going to be way more interested. All they see right now is a guy experimenting, having fun, loving the results, right? But until those get put up against other people's stuff, they're like, okay, cool. That's why I said Una gets all that interest because of his results in the proxy with his designs. I'm sure yours would do great. So if you don't enter the proxy,
No, like I
definitely
said, I always try to, with that pod, you know, the whole reason I made it was that I got sick of spending a lot of money on standard motor pods, okay? And just the fact that it works as good as it does, okay, it's just as much of
I
a
am
surprise
not at
to
all
me as
trying
it-
to imply, and I'm certainly not saying that I don't think your pods are fantastic. I'm sure they are. But if you don't enter that proxy, make sure Courtney gets some. You should enter the proxy though. Proxies are fun.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
I got
Mike
another
has
one
one of those chassis, right? Maybe Mike can join the proxy.
I got another one that I'm gonna show Mike after the chat's off, okay? A full chassis, okay?
Oh, okay. Be interesting.
Okay, we're done with the live. Go ahead, Garth.
Are we done with the live?
Trying to get you to show it.
I don't have photos of it, so I gotta, you know,
Just CAD. Yeah.
I gotta do a mic, which is, you know, hey, you guys, look at this.
Or a Tony or a.
Isn't that great?
Photos don't allow you to move it around.
Yeah,
That's true.
you get to see it in 3D motion. It reminds me of a story. One time when I was in my working life, I had a marketing / sales guy, John, tell me that he wanted to design a sphere, okay, that was clear on the outside and it had a viscous thick liquid on the inside, and it had all the parts that we made in the viscous thick liquid, and you could go like this and they would rotate around inside the sphere and shit, you know. At that point I left the meeting, so never went to another one.
What kind of crazy?
And I'm sure he was nothing like you, John.
Well, if nobody has anything else
funny.
they want to do on the live broadcast, we can end early. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about or ask about?
Just remember to check out Tom Dorito in the slotted race.
Greg, I took the dimensions if you want them.
Sure, go ahead.
The basic dimension is 22 feet by 5.
Okay.
But on what would be, if you're facing the long end of it, there's a 2 foot by 2 foot hole on the back side or the wall side.
Okay.
Because that's where the water heater is. And
okay.
It's already there, but I don't need to. If you look and show you you see how the triangle is there tacked onto it?
65 inches, not 6 foot
65 inches is the distance from the left side wall to the point where it intersects the 5 foot.
Yeah. And how far?
It's 2 feet out from it's 7 feet out from the wall.
Okay, so 2 feet extra, 65 inches. Okay.
Yeah. So if you remember the photo of that, the way they have it come straight in and then make a big loop. So what we could do is angle the straight to that end, and then have the loop there, so I'd allow more distance on the 5 foot side for that part.
I mean, I might it might make sense to turn the whole thing around 180 degrees because you kind of want the full length straight to be on the wall, right?
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah, because the lap counter doesn't need to be on the full length straight as long as you've got a fairly decent straightaway for the lap counter, so the cars are straight, can be anywhere, right? So you can still have the lap counter and grid up front and the long straight in the back.
Correct.
And the layout is from the pictures that you usually see online, 180 degrees turned around for the layout itself.
Yeah.
And then make it use that little triangle area.
Yeah, the only problem I can see with that is the way they have it set up is on what will be the right-hand side of the table as we see it, from the driver's positions on the front straight. It's squared off at that end, whereas you'd have to angle it to cover the hole on that one side.
Sure. The other issue I see is that their table is definitely wider than 5 feet.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 meters.
Yeah. So there will be concessions
Yeah,
unless you want a lot of overpassing.
Yeah, I like the way the overpasses are done on there. You know, I don't know what compromises we'd have to make, but if it would be similar in stature, what I basically want to do is be able to put it together without applying too much extra track, because
send me your track. Send me your complete track number of pieces for each type of piece. Then.
Oh, it's a good point.
That way
I can do that.
Yeah, as long as I know how many pieces of each kind of piece you have, then I can limit the number of additional pieces you'll need to buy. But if you just give me carte blanche, then I'll go hog wild. So,
well, truthfully, I can give you what I have, but I don't want to be limited by that.
I'll just try to use those pieces. But if I think something needs to be done with pieces you don't have, then obviously I'll say just go ahead and buy this pack of track or whatever. Like, do you have enough R1s? Because they had like 2 or 3 hairpins in their design.
I have plenty of R1s.
Okay, good. Because you're gonna need a lot to fit that in a 5-foot wide table.
Yeah.
Any chance you could show us the track that you're trying to emulate?
You've seen it for sure, but let me see if I can find it. If you have it in your bookmarks somewhere, Mike, that would be handy.
I don't. I'm sorry.
It's on Slot Forum in the Oxygen Racing, Malafama, and I think it's is it the Intrigue track? I don't think it's the Intrigue.
It's on the digital page, I believe.
Yeah.
Is it in their Spanish series then?
Yeah.
Spanish Oxygen series. So is it the track at Villobi?
It's not. It's a club track.
It's a club track.
Yeah.
Trying to remember if they put it in the Oxygen Forum or in the Tracks and Scenery.
I'm pretty sure it's in the Oxygen Forum. I'm not positive, but
I think so too. I think it's in their series. It might not be in the series announcement. I don't know. I think I may have seen it. But I don't recall the nature of it.
Well, it's the one that Henry emulated with his Ninco because he liked their design so much. If that rings any bells.
Yes, there are a bunch of live streams of that car from those guys. Of that truck from those guys.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you try to do the same truck.
Yeah, he wants to do that for secondary.
An homage, because it won't fit my size. I mean, I could extend I've got enough room that I could extend the table. I think actually the width of the table is 2.5 meters, if I remember correctly. So I could get that out of it if I wanted to, but that means using fingers for putting cars back on in the back, which would make the idea of having the long straight in the back the better idea, because there's going to be less D slots up there than there would be on the rest of the
You want to do with the poly car?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not finding it.
Yeah, it's a nice truck, but I don't know why people are going so crazy about that. That are
Well, I'm
better
not
design.
crazy about it. I just really like the design.
Yeah, I
You like what?
He wants to drive it. But to get anything like that on his table will require quite a bit of manipulation. So I'll throw my style into it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
out there. Find it.
It's under the heading of video of a digital race, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. Come on, search. Recent.
I have only recently discovered Slot Forum. How does it compare to Slot Blog, for instance?
Stay away from it. It's a slot forum is a piece of crap.
There are personalities on Slot Forum. We'll say that. I've set more than one to ignore, so that I'm not tempted to respond in any way. But the content of Slot Forum is definitely more of the 1/32 side of the hobby. There's some 124, some, there's some of everything on Slot Forum, but it's definitely more hard body 132, whereas Slot Blog is definitely more commercial Lexan body, brass chassis, metal chassis racing. Slot Forum has a more traffic than Slot Blog, but only a little bit. If you don't mind using Google Translate, Free Slaughter, FREESLOTTER.de is the German forum.
Google Translate.
It's super high traffic, so there's all kinds of stuff going on over there. However, it's being in Germany, there's a high percentage of Carrera, 1/32 and 124 stuff on that forum. Those are the most high traffic forums that I look at. And then you got Home Racing World, Slot Blog, slotracer.online, and Australia Slot or auslot.com is mostly dead, and Slot Car Illustrated is mostly dead. But yeah, unfortunately, I spend a lot of time on Slot Forum because that's still where most of the digital stuff is happening, and so that's where I spend a lot of time. I've tried over the years to kind of inspire some more digital stuff on other forums, but it generally fizzles out. So it's just me.
There hasn't been a post on the digital forum on Home Racing World for months.
That might be a good show topic to go over, like some of these websites that people use, and then like the decline. Because like Slot Car Illustrated, that was the go-to spot like when I first started, and now I remember it got bought, and then it changed hands, and then there's restrictions on what you could and couldn't post, and I was like, okay, and it just kind of died.
Yeah,
like without that,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, without that cross pollination, where like you say, hey, here's what I did. I linked to this site, and this site links back to you. But like sometimes they come in and say, don't link to anything. Like nothing else exists in the world. And so then I just stopped going there. And I was like, I'll go other places. Like it's so bizarre, the little fiefdoms that people try to create.
So Gio, what's your beef with it?
So I mean, I believe that the slot forum is or was the best forum for slot cars. I mean, there was a lot. When I joined, so in 2014, when I started basically getting into slot cars, there was a lot in terms of track, both in scenery and design. That's where I learned from Greg and others how to design tracks, for instance, which are the basic rules. And there was a lot of scratch building, really interesting scratch building. Tamar was one of the one leading it, and then the 1/32 cars. I mean, talking about some of the reviews, there was a lot of that activities going on, and of course, I mean, digital. I think was a big deal. But then, then basically, has been going like a lot of people have left. The one there are just me included, bitching about a lot. I mean, there are a lot of newbies, but I think we don't have any more patience. With them. So because they ask always the same freaking questions, right? Where do I put I have this 1 meter by 2 meter space. Can I put 20 fucking meters of a truck on it? Digital with the pixel. I mean, read the fucking thing. I mean, there are so many examples how to do it. But they come and then if you tell them, they get pissed off. Anyway, so it's basically, I don't know. It's or there are people that come do not know shit, and they basically start to send talking about as they are the new messiah. I mean, anyway, so it's kind of frustrating.
I would say that Slot Forum is the Facebookiest of all the slot car related forums.
A lot of people that had like very good, they were really good in what they were doing. Basically, have been kind of pushed out or given up. I mean, Tamar does not publish anymore.
Gio, I don't disagree with you. I was one of them because I post like scratch built stuff and scenery stuff, and quite frankly, no one seemed to really be interested. So it's like, okay, well, no worries.
But I think when you started posting about your video, I think you were already late. Already, basically, that was a decline. I mean, there were already few people.
Yeah, especially there was one particular individual that kept asking, like, why are you posting this here? So I went, okay, you know what, I won't. Bye. See ya. And what's really interesting, too, is when I looked at the analytics, posting on those forums added almost 0 views to the videos. Yeah. So much like your track clean, I was going to say, much like your track cleaning, Greg, what's the point?
I mean, that's what, I mean, these days I basically, when I start looking at Slot Forum, after I'm done looking at the new posts and marking them all as read, then I'll go to Slot Car Illustrated, then I'll go to, I'll basically go to each site, check all the new posts, mark them as read, respond to anything of interest. For me, most of my actual responses and posts go to Slot Forum because that's where most people that are interested in what I do are still on. Whereas when I post on pretty much any other forum, I get maybe a thumbs up and a cool story, bro, but otherwise virtually no additional interaction.
Yeah, I think there's more, honestly, I think there's more traffic, to your point, on YouTube for stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of the decline is due to hundreds of slot car related groups. Everybody and their mother makes their own slot car related Facebook group, and
all of the same.
And they're all the same. Yeah, anything slot cars, and then they post their link to their group on all the other groups saying, "Come join my group." It's like the worst of just splitting a fandom into too many little pieces. But we're past the 2 hours, and we're going to bitch and moan about this some more for a while offline. So for now, everybody wave bye. I'm clicking the end button. The end button has been clicked. YouTube says it has ended. 10, 9, 8, 7.